Greetings and salutations, Earthlings. Welcome to RJ Square Podcast, where we talk about a whole bunch of shit. Today, we're down one. Jay Shizzle is not available, but we have myself, the tonsil tickler, and Raynell Ray Ray. We're
Yes,
just going
sir.
to go off the top today, talk about anything. We have nothing planned. Me and Raynell was talking earlier about young men becoming their fathers as they get older. So, what were you saying about that right now?
Yeah. So, like I was telling you earlier, and we wanted to save this for the podcast. First of all, good to see you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Um, and what I was thinking was, I remember as a kid, I would always say, yeah, I'm not going to do those things like my dad did them, or those nuances that those idiosyncrasies that your parents kind of have, and maybe they sleep on their left side, or they sit a certain way or whatever. And as I've gotten older, over the years, I've noticed every year, something from my daddy uh, has definitely started to resonate within me. For example, I notice when I sit down, I sit like my father used to always sit like this
Hmm.
when he would sit. And this is one of his just trademark sitting positions, with his arm kind of on his knee, like so. And I I always found it a little bit uncomfortable, I guess. And I would do it, as a kid, I would do it. And I'm like, man, why would you sit like that? Right. And then sure enough, I would say my mid 30s, I started doing that. I mean, I would literally start sitting like this, at a table with friends or whatever, at a party. And it was just so strange to me. But it's just one of those things. We were just kind of talking about, or reminiscing on, growing up and stuff like that. And it's one of those things that just comes to mind. Those minor things that you kind of pick up from your parents. So without even knowing, subconsciously.
Yeah. I know my father, there's a lot of things. I don't know if I necessarily do things that my father did. And first of all, if someone's watching this, I've had the hiccups for 24 hours straight. So if you catch me like that, hiccuping, if that's actually a word, nothing I've done has been able to get rid of it. But I remember growing up, and this is just reminiscent over fathers, especially if they're gone. I remember my father used to eat sweet potato pie with slices of ham, and that was like a dessert. So, sweet potato pie, take a piece of potato pie and eat some ham with it. And I remember trying it, and I was like, "Wow, this is the best combination I've ever tried." He also had where he used to eat peanuts. Um, I did find myself eating peanuts, and it was more. I like honey roasted cashews. That's what I like. So
Mhm.
yeah, man, I think fathers imprint on you watching them while you're growing up, and you see them at the age that you are now, and it's not even that you're trying to emulate them. It's just like they're part of you,
Yeah,
like they
yeah.
have half of your DNA as your father and your mother, but it forms one DNA pattern. And I found that interesting that you were saying that. But what have you done for the last week, man? I know today's Sunday, so we haven't been on since Monday. 6 days. What's your life been like in these 6 days?
Uh, so yeah, really busy. I have to reporting on the home front, with my son. So I don't know if I told you guys this, but we've been on this journey, my son and I, of reading some books. And the last collection of books that we read were the Harry Potter books. And
Nice.
I'm not a big Harry. I can't stand Harry Potter, but the things we do for love. Um, and so I kind of went on that journey with him. and he did an amazing job, read through all the books, and as a reward, we watched the movies, right? So that's what
All
we,
of them?
yeah.
Wow.
So that's what we do. We read. So he reads the books because I'm not reading all those books, and he reads the books. And then once we finish that journey, that story, then we watch the movies. And so we watched the movies. Of course, this was over a few months. I didn't do this like in 1 week or anything like that. Um, and so that was our conquest. And so I'm telling you this just to give you a little bit of a build up to what we're currently on. And so once we finished the Harry Potter collection, I got him on into what's it called? The Hunger Games. You've seen them,
Oh,
right? Yeah. So we stepped it up a little bit. And now we're watching or we're reading The Hunger Games. He is actually on the final book. He's finishing up Mockingjay. And once he finishes that one up, then we'll watch the movies and close out Hunger Games. And then after this, I'm actually thinking about giving him a smaller book, a shorter, quick read for him to. One of the leadership and development books that I kind of read in my previous life in the military was The Art of War, right?
oh.
And, some
Who's
people
that?
have
By
this
Mr. Green?
now by Sun Tzu,
Sun
and
Tzu.
and so yeah, so yeah.
What book am I
Chinese
thinking about? By Robert Greene. The Art of Making Money? But go ahead.
Robert Greene. I don't know. Let me look that up though, because Power, 48 Laws of Power,
Oh, okay. That's what I was looking
something
for.
like that. Yeah. But anyways, what I was saying was so I'm thinking about pushing that onto him, but not so much obviously from a military standpoint, because that's one side of it, one a very narrow-minded way of looking at it. But I do feel that it has um there's applicability with the context in that book in a business aspect. And so, whatever career he chooses to go to pursue, I think it'll serve him well. So yeah, so we're going to look into Art of War once we finish up the Hunger Games.
I definitely
But
agree.
yeah,
I
that's my
definitely
story
agree
for the
with
week.
you about the
Mhm.
art of war, that you can apply it in many different facets in life. It doesn't have to be a battlefield or a war. It could
No.
be you starting a business. It could be you in a relationship to actually uh, sit back, take notice of what's going on around you, make an educated decision, an informed decision, and decide how to move. Move in a way that best corresponds with a favorable outcome for yourself. And that's in many different fields. That's in schooling. Kids go to college. Okay, what career field do I want? What's the best career field that pays the most money, that I'm passionate about, that I'm interested in, that will benefit me when I graduate? That that could be taken from the art of war also. So there's a lot of things that could be taken from the art of war. Interesting. Yeah. Hey man, I like that, man. I like that you and your son, not only are you guys reading the books, but then you're going visual, looking at the
Mhm.
actual movies, seeing the discrepancies between the books and the movies. Because a lot of people that read the books, usually at least a third of them never like the movies. There's like, oh, it's so far away from of the book, like the book was better. Well, obviously the book was better. It's an intellectual property of a particular person excuse me, that made it up themselves. The book
Mhm.
is just, I'm sorry, the movie is just derived from the book. So I mean, I like that for you and your son, man. I wish I could have did more of that when my son was growing up, but unfortunately, some things don't work out how you want it.
Well, sometimes we have second chances in life, buddy. I
Yeah,
see
man.
good things for you.
Maybe I'll spit a new kid out my nutsack and start over. You know what I'm saying? Do you know?
Columbia, here we come.
Do you know that the father of a child decides the gender, the height, the hair color, the eye color, Do you know that all comes from the seed, from the father? The mother has nothing to do with the height, the appearance, the hair color, the eye color. And you can look it up to make sure I'm right. I know you like to look up a lot of things, but if I'm not mistaken, the seed from the father is alive. The egg from the mother is pretty much docile or just there until the seed is implanted. But the seed that we carry is actually alive.
So
So,
I can
so was I
gain.
right?
You're close, yes. So I mean, and I'm quoting this directly. The semen from the father dictates the biological sex of the offspring. This is
Mhm.
because the father's sperm carry either an X or Y chromosome, and the egg always carries an X chromosome. If the sperm carrying the X chromosome fertilizes the egg, the offspring will be genetically female. If the sperm carrying the Y chromosome fertilizes the egg, the offspring will be genetically male. So biological sex is what's dictated by semen.
So we determine. So men determine if the child is going to be a boy or a girl.
Yes, sir.
Yep. That's, don't you find that amazing? Because in our whole, and look, women do an incredible thing. They're an incubator for 9 months. They carry the child. Only they can give birth. They do an
Even if,
amazing. They have
even
an
if they
amazing
can't hold it.
gift that we do not have. But I do find it
Right.
interesting because you hear a lot of women. Their go-to is, but we have children for 9 months. But then I don't think half of the women know that even though you have children, I'm going to dictate what gender they are
Yeah.
and certain characteristics about them from my actual seed, from my semen. So we work in unison. We're better together than we are apart. And that's one of the case scenarios where this is a perfect reflection of how men need women and women need men, and we work best together. Yeah, I found that
Agreed.
interesting, man.
Yeah, but everything else is pretty much from what I'm reading here. It's kind of like a crapshoot. You get what you get from mom or dad, and it's like there's no rhyme or reason to it
Hmm.
besides the sex. The sex is absolutely dictated by the father and whether or not the sperm is carrying an X or Y chromosome. And if it is a Y, then it'll be a boy. If it's an X, then it'll be a girl.
Okay. So I know nowadays when you go on Google, it usually gives you the AI version that comes out real quick.
Mhm.
This one says the Y chromosome responsible for determining male sex is exclusively inherited from the father. Additionally, the father contributes to the inheritance of traits like height, eye color, and certain personality traits related to fat storage and some aspects of dental health may also be more influenced by the father's genes.
Oh wow. Wait. So go back and read that again to me.
So it
So
says the Y chromosome,
uh-huh.
responsible for determining male sex, is
Yeah.
exclusively inherited from the father. Additionally, the father contributes to the inheritance of traits like height, eye color, and certain personality traits.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So it's weird. My son actually had blue eyes.
Your son has blue eyes, or are they darken as he got
Ah.
older?
They got darker. So when he was a baby, I can show you a picture. I'll have to look it up and I'll bring it next time, next podcast. When he was a baby, literally, bro. Damn. And I remember, I remember her mom saying, "Don't start thinking somebody else is the father or something like that, just talking shit." It was a big joke. And I was like, "No, why?" She's like, "Well, because he has blue eyes." She's like, we do have blue eyes in our family." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And so we thought for a minute there he may have blue eyes. but his eyes actually started to darken. I think that's normal in some babies.
Yeah, yeah,
So
baby. Children when they're babies definitely change. Like my son looked Asian when he was first born.
oh,
Like
really?
he was almost as light as my father, and his eyes were really light hazel. So and his mom isn't as dark as my father. So my mother was really dark. My father is really, you see my father. My father's a little darker than you. You know what I'm saying? But he can
Yeah,
pass for a Spanish
your
person.
father could be my dad.
Yeah. Yeah. My father was probably like the same skin color as your father,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
but it does happen. Like it does certain things do miss generations. So
Yeah.
it
So
happens.
here I just looked it up. So yes, it's common for babies to have blue eyes that darken as they get older. This happens because of the amount of melanin, the pigment that gives eyes their color, increases in the iris. Babies often have lighter blue-gray eyes at birth. That's exactly his eyes. Due to a lack of melanin, this can change to blue, green, hazel, or brown as they mature. That's so cool. So he had
Yeah.
a lack of melanin.
What do you think on the? I don't want to get the state wrong. I believe it's. I don't want to say Tennessee, Kentucky, but the first state um, bringing into law mandatory DNA, mandatory paternity test. What do you think about that?
That's is that recent? I didn't
Yeah,
know anything
that's
about it.
that's this year. So there, I don't know if it's Tennessee or Kentucky. So one state has made it a law that it's mandatory pat- paternity tests in that state for fathers.
In no U.S. state is mandatory paternity testing required to establish a father's paternity. All states allow non-marital fathers to establish their parentage through a voluntary acknowledgement of paternity form without genetic testing.
Hang on, hang on, hang on. No, that can't be right. I know I'm not wrong.
Well,
So
I'm
I'm
looking
putting
at
in
it.
what state has
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
mandatory
Yeah, I looked it up. It says no
paternity
states. Maybe it's
test for fathers.
maybe it's under litigation right now or
Okay.
being passed.
While this is from AI Overview, while no U.S. state mandates paternity testing for fathers, Georgia is an exception. In Georgia, paternity is establishment is generally considered mandatory if a court order is involved or if the father is not married to the mother at the time of the child's birth. Although a father can request a hearing to oppose the testing, per the National Child Support Engagement Association and Georgia.gov in all other states, a voluntary acknowledgement of paternity form is sufficient to establish paternity for non-marital fathers. So hang on, I know I'm not crazy. Maybe hang on. What state has mandatory paternity test for fathers? Can they test it? Wow, could I be wrong? I could be wrong right now. I could fucking be wrong.
Hey,
Look,
shit.
this is what happened when you look at too much social media.
That's why you got to stay away from that stuff, man. You got to go to the source.
Hang on. What state has mandatory
There is none, bro.
paternity?
Mustard on the beat, bro.
No, there has to be one. Um, Damn, I could be wrong.
All right, buddy.
Either way,
Happens
do
to the
you
best
think
of us.
paternity testing should be mandatory?
No, I don't.
I do.
For what? If in cases where there's
I mean,
some
in all
doubt,
cases. I
you
mean, in
think
all
so?
cases, if you're speaking about equality and being fair across the board, a mother always knows that they're having a kid. A father never knows if that kid is theirs.
I don't. So I think you can do a paternity test while the woman is pregnant, but it's dangerous, right?
Yes, it's a non-invasive paternity pre-paternity test. You can do that. All they do
You
is
can do
take
it.
blood from her. Yeah, it's non-invasive, so they don't have to
Oh,
like.
they just take blood. Okay,
Yeah,
and then typically they want to wait till after birth for a paternity test, though, if I remember correctly. But they don't
well, the
typically.
science has finally caught up to when the baby is still in the womb. So it used to be you used to have to wait until birth
Yeah.
to get a paternity test, but now you can get a non-invasive paternity test before she gives birth. Now that's more
Well,
expensive. It's
well,
like
yeah.
five to
Okay.
ten thousand dollars.
Yeah. If that's the case, nobody's going to get hurt, harmed. There's no risk. Then yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I don't.
So
Who
I'm not even
cares?
talking about that.
Mhm.
I'm just talking about mandatory paternity tests when the child is born before, because if you have a law that says if this person signs this birth certificate, they're now on the hook legally for 18 to 21 years. I would think that type of contractual agreement should be um should have some type of governance on it, such as let's make sure your name needs to go here because you have 18 to 21 years of being in this agreement. If it's not you, if it's not yours, young man, why would we want to put you in that situation?
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. If everything is law, then at some point you have to say some men are being taken advantage of with children that aren't theirs that they're paying for 18 to 21 years, and they and not have to be a part of the child's life, but they're on the hook for raising, for parenting, and the child isn't even biologically theirs, and most of the time they don't know the child is not biologically theirs, but the mother knows. Guess what? When she gives birth at the 9 month mark, she knows 9 months ago, wow, I slept with three people, but I'm not going to say shit. I'm just going to let this guy believe he's the
Piggyback.
father.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that's wrong.
Agreed. So yes. So in that instance, I didn't. I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking traditional man wife. We know it's ours.
I'm thinking
Then
from a legal sense.
yeah, yeah. I don't think there's any harm in it. But why not? Just like let's just clean slate across the board. Everybody do a blood test. Yeah, figure it out.
But
Or
a
at
lot of
least,
women have pushback. So this,
of course, because of
hey, because they
well,
out there fucking. Look, there's and look. I hate to say this. I love women, but there's a lot of women that put men in a situation where they know this may be your child, this may not be your child, but I'm not gonna say shit. I had Tyrone, the 6'5", shredded up guy who was the bad boy. I fucked him, but I'm with you, my safety net. Why would they say anything?
yeah.
Yeah, I think mandatory DNA tests should be implemented. Now, France had something, the country France, where they said they would never make it mandatory because it would ruin society. Now, they said this because you may not know this. You can look this up real quick. I'm going to say this to you. Out of men in relationships that go to get DNA tests, 1/3 of the men find out that the child is not theirs. So you can look that up. I don't if you want
Where
to
is
type in
this?
there right now. So out of men that get paternity tests, what percentage of men aren't the father.
Damn. Oh
Did it
shit.
come? Did it come up? So what does it say?
1/3.
Yeah. So now keep in mind, these are only the men that get paternity tests. Meaning, you know what? I've had a funny feeling for 2 years since my son is 2. Or you know what?
But I
She
tell you what,
cheated on
Vito.
me.
But
What's
let
that?
me I'm putting a personal spin on this. So let's just say hypothetically, my son was not biologically my son, right? And I found out years later. I'll be honest with you, it
Wouldn't
wouldn't
change
matter.
anything.
No, it does. Like if I found out tomorrow that you know, obviously it didn't happen, but if I found out tomorrow that things happened and I wasn't aware, and he wasn't my biological son, like the bond that I have with that little boy, there's no. So the whole saying "blood's thicker than water" bullshit. You can build bonds without blood, and sometimes stronger than those blood bonds.
I agree with you. I don't agree in all cases, but I do agree with you
Mm.
that in some cases a father would not look at their son or their daughter as less than, like, you're not biologically mine. I think most fathers would look at the kid, even if they're not their biological kid, like, wow, I have a bond with this kid. I love this kid more than anything in life. But I think some people would not be able to get over the fact that even though I do love this kid more than life, the young lady lied to me. They're not my
Yeah,
biological kid. And they would weigh the pros and the cons. They would weigh, because remember, I've dated a single mom where you could do everything you want for the stepkids, way more than what their father ever did. So you could come into a kid's life and raise them from 7 to 18. And in those 11 years, you do more for them than their father has done in 11 years, or let's say 5 years, than their father did in 18 years. You would never be
mm,
their father, bro. And I'm just being honest with you. You would never be their father. They will always have more love for their biological father than you, regardless of what you do.
you think so? You're saying if you raise that child from cradle to college, you think that child would have more love for their biological father than they would for the person that, no, than their
Yes,
dad that actually raised them?
yes,
I'll give you an
yes.
example. I'll give you an example. Look at Shaq. Shaq's daddy is not his biological father.
But
Shaq has not.
let's not take the outlier into the overall generality that I'm speaking of. Shaq has a lot of respect for the guy who raised him, his stepfather, and that's great. I'm
He
speaking
doesn't
of
even call him his stepfather. He calls him dad.
his dad.
That's his
Yeah,
dad. Yeah.
yeah, and that's great. Look, no problem with that. No problem whatsoever. I'm saying if you come into a child's life at 5, their father isn't in the picture, and they turn 21. They can call you dad, father, all the way up to 21. If they've never known their father and their father comes into the picture at 21, he's going to have precedence over you. It doesn't mean that the child doesn't love you. It doesn't mean they don't appreciate what you've done. It means that their biological father is now here and available, and they want to take the opportunity to get to know their biological father. You
Yeah.
will go to the back burner. I'm not saying they don't love you or they don't love their stepfather, but you will go to the back burner. It might be for a month, it might be for a year, it might be for 5 or 10 years. But that natural instinct of wanting to know the person that you come from will override the materialistic shit, even though some of it may be tangible. You may have gifted them a car on their high school graduation. It's going to override all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, yes, but I think it's on a case by case basis, and I like the Shaq story because it's a beautiful one, right?
Yeah.
And I love the fact how I love how Shaq reveres his father, his daddy, and has so much respect for him, and always refers to him as his dad.
Yeah.
All right, so where were we going with that topic? We were going somewhere, and I don't remember where.
No, we just spoke about paternity tests. Should it be legal?
Yeah.
Um, Again, I think it should be legal, but it is. Look,
I'm good. I'm good with it so long as it's safe for the child. And since you're saying it's now non-invasive and
yes, none of it.
safe for all parties, yeah, then
Yeah,
absolutely.
they don't prick they don't. I don't even think they have to go into the belly. They like go into the arm and take blood from the woman, and it'll just show that your DNA is the DNA that's mixing with the child, pretty much. So it's non-invasive. There's no harm that can come to the child. The child cannot be killed or aborted in any kind of way. There's no harm whatsoever, but it will give you a clear understanding if you're the father or not before the child is born. Because if you have a woman that comes to you and she's 3 months pregnant, now you have 6 months you have to deal with her. Uh, you go to doctor appointments, things like that, OBGYN, you're getting things ready, you're buying things for the nursery. How do we put that, or how do we not stop it, but how do we put something in place where if this person is not the father, all of this money, all of this work, all of this extra attention doesn't have to come from this person? Because I would think, I would hope, but I know it's not true. I would hope that the actual father wants to do these things, but we know a lot of men are deadbeats. Like they're not going to do that. They don't want to go there. They don't even want the kid with the chick. But I think this would save a lot of men from a lot of things. Another thing you may not know, since historically, since how can I say this? Since records have been taken, over 95% of women has procreated. Did you know that? So in history, all women ever born, 95% of them have procreated. That makes sense, right?
To a
They've
certain
had
degree,
kids.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Less than 50% of men have. Did you know
Oh,
that?
interesting.
So let's look that one up.
Oh, that's very interesting.
No,
Since
that's a large discrepancy.
what's the timeline on that?
So since record keeping, how many women have procreated versus how many men has procreated? Let me know what you find.
Um, Large proportion of women, around 80%, have reproduced throughout history, compared to about 40% of men. This suggests that a significant percentage of women have contributed to the human gene pool over time.
Okay, so this one says 80 and 40, right?
80-40. Yeah, but that's a very interesting metric that you bring up.
Now remember what we were just talking about, DNA testing. If
Oh,
80 to 90, no, I said 95%. I think it's more towards, and maybe 80% is correct, but I think it's between 85 to 95%. But let's just take this statistic you brought up. If 80% of women have procreated and only 40% of men have procreated, that means 80% of women are having kids from 40% of men. Simple. That's the math. That's what you just read, right?
mm-hmm.
80% of women, if you have 100 women and 80% of them have procreated, but only 40% of the 100 men have procreated, that means women are double dipping with men because only 40% of men has procreated, but 80% of women. This is what I mean when I say mandatory paternity tests. In France, they said that they wouldn't do that because it would literally tear tear down the social fabric of their country. When I say at 1 in 3 men that go for a DNA test comes up that they're not the father, in France, it's estimated that 1 in 3 could be between 50 to 70%. So imagine 50 to 70% of your population in the country one day finds out these kids are not mine.
Yeah. Jesus.
Imagine what that would do.
Be some heads rolling.
And we're just following the logic. Remember, we went from should paternity tests be mandatory, percentage of women versus percentage of men that's procreated, the percentage of men that are found not to be the father. Guess what? We used to think those Maury shows was funny. Like, you are not the father. But when you look back on it and you take the information today, you realize, like, bruh, I think they were
So
doing real DNA tests and these dudes were not
yeah.
the fucking father.
So wait, it was the Maury show. What was the other one? Springer.
Jerry
Jerry?
Springer.
Jerry Springer. That
Jerry.
was the other one. They were just train wrecks, bro. Holy shit.
You remember Ricky
Woo.
Lake?
Ricky Lake, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So there was
But that's
Ricky
why I
Lake,
think
Jerry Springer, Maury, and then who else?
the black guy,
Wait,
Montel Williams.
Montel.
You know,
Montel.
Montel Williams dated Kamala Harris.
No. Did he?
Yes, pull it up.
Oh, hell no.
You didn't know that?
No.
This is when she was first, when she was younger. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I'm usually not.
She previously dated another public figure, Montel Williams. God damn, how the hell do you know this?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. There are pictures of them.
Yes. Look how young she looks.
Damn. Okay. Here, I'll tell you what. Why don't I put this on the stage?
Oh, that's your son?
No, that's not mine. Oops.
Oh.
That's not mine. Hold on, I'll put the other one up. Put it on the stage right here so we can all look at it.
Growing my afro out, man.
All right, can you see?
Not yet. It hasn't come on stage yet. Okay,
Right.
it's coming. There we go.
Look at that shit, son.
Yeah.
Look at Kamala.
Back when she was a straight whore. I can't say she was hard. Look, I ain't know the chick. I can't tell you how many men she slept. I have no idea. But I don't know if you ever heard the rumors about her sleeping around to get to where she at in her career. Have you heard anything about that?
No. Mm-mm. But I mean, let's be honest, right? That's part of the game. Once upon a time, unfortunately, hopefully that changes.
Especially coming up when she came up.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is anything before 2010? Like, we're in a different world now, but before 2010, brother, it was rough. Women having to climb to the top, it was hard.
Yeah, they would suck a dick, bro. You can bring it back to us, but look, I'm not gonna lie to you. And look, this is why I will say this. I love women. I appreciate women, and I do understand. I do understand when they say certain things that they had to go through. Now, the new age women, like these 18 and 22, like, bro, you ain't go through shit. Like my mom, my grandma, like those women went through shit. Right now, you can walk down the hall and say somebody is looking at you weird, and they're gonna fire the fucking dude. You haven't gone through shit.
Yep.
Like, let's be for real. Like, women back in the day really went through having to prove themselves. There was no DEI. There was, if you want this job, work for it. but you're going to have to outdo the man by times two. Nowadays, that shit isn't there for women.
Mhm.
They hire plumbers, they hire police officers, military personnel. They lower the standards for women. The standards didn't used to be lower for women, bro. It was all even. If you can't do it how a man can do it, you don't need to be here. But now everything's lower, but still women are like, it's not fair, bro. They've literally made it unfair for men to make it better for. No, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
In the military right now, what men have to do? What 12 pull-ups? Women have to do 4 or 5.
Well,
Everything's cut in half.
I think there's science to that, though, right? Typically, a
No, there
man's
is
upper body strength should be twice
twice
as
the strength of a
strong as a
woman.
woman. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think there's science to that. I don't think that's just to me. I don't have a problem with that. Lower standard for the woman to, but where I draw the line is when we're talking combat zones, right?
Mhm.
When it's life and death, right? That's where
Take
I
the
take
women out.
issue. Yeah, no, not necessarily. If she can cut it, if she can meet the same standard across the board, then go for it, all in,
But
right?
if she
But
gets
if
in on
she
a lower
can't,
tier, just take her
no,
out. Put her
sir.
in.
No.
Let's have
So
her move some
let's use the
paperwork.
pull up. Let's use the pull up litmus test as a measuring example here. So if you're going out to war and to go out and be on the special forces team, you need to do 12 pull-ups. The woman shouldn't be held to the standard of 4 because she's a woman, because she has to go and do the fighting and the killing just like the
She
other
should be
special
held to
operator.
12.
She should be held to 12,
Because
just
guess
like the
what?
other guy.
Everywhere else,
Yeah,
they don't believe. Most of the places we go to, there are no standards like America. Like we're not going to drop the standards for the ladies. It's just going to
yeah.
be all men that can do 12 pull-ups. And bitch, if you
Number
can only do
two,
6,
number two, you get caught or captured over there, what do you
as a
think they're
woman,
going to do? Oh
oh yeah,
God,
oh yeah, yeah.
come on, man. So it's just, yeah, to me, is where I draw the line and I say, okay, we need to like forget all this. Yeah, this is good for Jill, but maybe not so much for Jack. Is when we're talking about combat zones. Combat zones, we
Mhm.
need to be really serious about that and truly hold everyone to the same standard. All right.
I
So
agree.
I am actually here to tell you, my friend, that I am taking a trip on the in about 3 weeks. I'm heading down to Colombia
You going early?
and I'm going early. Yeah.
Okay.
I am going to a beautiful, beautiful little city called Pereira. And I'm actually thinking about maybe getting an apartment down there, my friend.
Okay.
And so I was looking at some apartments and I wanted to share some of them with you and go over some things with you, see what you think. But is that acceptable to you?
Yes, sir. I want to see it, man. I
All
know you
right.
sent me one, and I was like, nice.
Yeah. So let me show you what I found. Okay, so we'll stop sharing there. We'll share another one. Um, all right. Here we go. Can you see my screen?
And I'm gonna make mine bigger, then I'll have a
Mhm.
better view. Okay. Wait, I don't
So
think this
here,
is the one you showed me. I think this is a different one.
no, these are different ones, but it's just to give you like a ballpark. So Pereira is nothing like Medellin, right? In the sense that Medellin is just really overpriced at this point, just because of the gringo invasion.
Yeah.
But Pereira
All
is
these Negroes try to get this Latina coochie.
so Pereira is still kind of a gem left unturned and available. So these are, just a couple prices that throw out $72,000 for a 4-bedroom, three
And
bath.
this is to own the 72,000.
Yep,
Wow.
72. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like a car.
So, hey, real quick, what's 96 square feet? I don't know what that. I think it's how many square feet is that? That's not our square footage.
I think that's
It's, I think that's
960.
meters squared. Yeah, so maybe they meant that's a typo, probably. So it's probably 960 square feet. Mhm.
Yeah, because if you look at the one
Right.
under that, it says 785 square feet. See that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
785.77
But
square
this
feet?
this this one's a little bit smaller actually. And I'm not too crazy about this one because look at this. This is the living room. Look how close you are to the TV right there. So not
Yeah.
too. It's pretty. They've done a good time. The decor is nice.
But everything's congested over there. You know that.
Yeah, 100, 100.
Unless you just go to a place where, like, okay, let me just pay this 2,000.
Yeah. So here you're looking at $111,000. But just mind you, like these are crazy prices, bro. Like these are the price. My parents, the home they bought. Boy, remember where I used to live in Sun Valley?
Yeah.
My parents bought that house back in 1989 for $120,000.
Wow. And that was a great house that you lived in growing up.
Yeah, dog. $120,000.
And this apartment is 110. Amazing.
This apartment's $110,000, bro.
Amazing.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yo, it's amazing within 20 years. Well, I guess it's been technically what, 30 years?
It's been over 30 years. Yeah, 35 years. Hmm.
How much from a financial
Yeah,
standpoint things have changed. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah. You know the equity is just it's crazy.
You know,
Yeah.
we've been talking
So
about this right now about, and I know you're not waiting for anybody to pull the trigger with you. Um, but you know, when you brought this to my attention, and I said to you, like, bro, that's my dream is to have a place outside of the United States. That's my dream.
yeah, no. I listen. I mean, if the stars align and stuff like that, I'm more willing. And if it makes sense, yeah, I'd be willing to listen or whatever. But yeah, like if I find something and I'm like, shit, man, I need to pull the trigger. Yeah, you're right. I'm not waiting.
Yeah.
But
See,
and you got to
and
do
I
your
know
thing,
you.
man.
You're not gonna be around anybody like, hey, hang on, let me wait till Jermaine can actually leave his business and do it for
No, no,
fucking
but
love.
hey,
And
but look at it this way, bro. Look at it this way. You always got me, like as a home base, and somewhere to go, drop, somewhere to lay your head when you're
yes,
trying to figure things out. You know what I'm saying?
yes. And that's even if I come for a week and you're like, hey, you here for a week? A hotel will charge you damn near a thousand, give me 500. And I'm like, hey, straight.
Yeah, dog, for real. That's a good deal.
Yeah, that's how I
And
look at it.
and what and we'll make you breakfast in the morning.
Hmm. Well, I'll make you breakfast because you doing me a favor. How about that?
So yeah. So like I mean, it's just crazy, bro. Like there's an apartment here for like 51,000, and and it's all relative, right? To the neighborhood that you're living in, and the location, obviously, location with real estate. But at the end of the day, the prices are just crazy dirt cheap. You know, um, I would obviously do a lot of upgrades or make sure that we did a lot of upgrades before moving into these places. But yeah, man, just definitely something I'm interested in doing, but I'm going to do it slowly, methodically. And I think what I'm going to do first before I start looking to purchase something, I think I'm going to rent something for about a year and then look to possibly purchase a home or whatnot.
Okay, but obviously you're not gonna. And I guess it's a little not difficult, but people who purchase houses in Colombia are really Colombians. Like you're probably going to get a condo or a penthouse or something like that, right?
Uh,
Nothing with
I
just its single foundation where it's just you within an acre.
I would prefer just me and an acre, actually. I'm not too
Mm,
crazy about, yeah, I'm not crazy about apartments unless I'm in like a penthouse or something like that. Not crazy about all that noise and just being in an apartment.
right.
And then going back to your point about being Colombian, once you purchase something in Colombia, you're eligible for a permanent visa and nationality.
Oh,
So you can become a citizen that way.
wait. So even so, if I don't have a visa, if I'm only there on a passport, and I'm
Mhm,
not a national citizen of
mhm.
Colombia, if I buy real estate there, I'm now eligible to have a dual citizenship.
Absolutely.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir. So long as it's more than $110,000, the property value.
Wow. And I'm
So
pretty sure I could buy
yeah,
5 acres in Colombia for less than let's just say I'll just buy land. You figure over here in Alabama, you might buy 10 acres, maybe $5,000. And 10 acres is huge, just to let you know. Like 10 acres, like that's like
oh yeah.
Yellowstone.
What one
But
acre is fucking huge.
yeah, 1 acre is huge. But let's just say I
Yep.
buy 2 acres in Colombia. It may be less than $2,000, $1,000.
So here you go. So yes, Colombia offers a path to residency and eventual citizenship through property investment by purchasing property valued at a minimum of 350 times the current monthly minimum wage. Individuals can obtain a migrant visa and this visa is renewable, and after 5 years of residency, the holder can apply for permanent residency, which is a prerequisite for citizenship.
Okay, so they want to make sure you're actually staying there. You're not just buying and selling. Makes sense. All right. Type in how much is an acre of land in Colombia? 1 acre. It in the USD.
Well, um,
And obviously it's going to vary across the country because in Medellin it's nothing but it's like a
yeah, it's
city. It's
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, oh, perfect. So we're talking Pereira here. The cost of an acre
Pereira.
of land in Colombia can vary widely depending on location, size, and features. However, Realtor.com suggests that you can find land for sale in Colombia, such as Realtor.com, with listings in Pereira, Miguanja, Cartagena. Specific examples include a 2,000 square foot plot in Pereira for $264,000,
Two
and
hundred
then a
square foot.
three.
That's pretty big also. 200 square feet. That's like take because most houses in America are right
No,
around
2,000.
2,000. Huh?
2,000 square foot plot in Pereira for
Oh, two.
264,000.
Wait.
That's in
Two
bed.
thousand. That's not a lot. Wait, 2,000 square
That's
foot.
but wait, plot is the key word. I don't know what the plot. And then 3,650 square foot plot in Pereira for 137. 21,000 square foot plot usually is listed to get more percent. Yeah. Here,
Yeah,
let me
and,
just pull
and
up.
keep in mind we're speaking about calculus now, so we're going into if you build a house, you're taking the circumference of the house. You're not just taking land on the square footage. So land is more in a rectangular in a square pattern where you get the entire radius of the land. But a house you can have the square foot of downstairs, then the square foot of upstairs, the square foot of your garage, and that accumulates to the 26, the same square footage of the land that you're buying. Does that make sense? Like if you have a
Mhm.
two-story house on a
Yeah, I'm looking
2,000
up
square
land
foot of
right now.
land, that two-story house may have 3,000 square feet because it's literally bordering the land, but it has multiple floors with square footage. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to bring up another screen right now and I'll show you this plot of land that's in Medellin. And it's
I bet it's more
pretty
expensive.
expensive, actually. Yeah. Yep. So here, let me show you. You see this one right here? It's $328,000 and it's 2,500 square feet.
Jeez. An extra 500 brings on an extra 200,000. Pretty much, right?
I think it has more to do because it's in Medellin now. That's why.
Of course. Of
Medellin is
course.
the prices have
It's the
just
tourist
skyrocketed
capital.
up there. Yeah.
I mean,
But
what's the other
I mean,
one?
regardless, like think about it though, $328,000 for a plot. That's not bad. Like,
Well, it's not bad. Well, I'll say it like this. I'm definitely not going to say it's bad, but you still have to build on the plot. So you could
yeah,
buy the plot
exactly.
for 325,000, but then it might take you another 150,000 to build the home you want to live in,
Yeah,
and that's still kind of getting over from America. Like, okay, I still spent
yeah.
less than 500, 600,000 for a 4 bedroom, 3 bath with a pool. You know,
Here we go. I found a couple of Beretta. 1,906. Do you see my screen? Or no? You can't see it.
no,
Here you go. Got
no,
it.
it's popping up.
130, $136,000 for basically 2,000 square feet. Now that is definitely good. That is a nice plot of land. Holy shit. Look at this, bro. So that's essentially all your
The
land
top
right
one.
there. Yep. That's essentially all your land. This is basically just an AI generated model, but you can basically build like that.
Yeah,
That's
that's like I was
that's
saying.
freaking
Remember, the
nice.
land is its entire radius, so it's going to be longer and wider than your home. In the home, they're literally counting every room. So if you have multi a multiplex or a
Two
two
story.
story, they're counting the square footage from the downstairs and the upstairs. So you could have a 2,000 plot of land. I wonder how many. If you how can
Check
I
out
say
this
this?
one. Let's look at the second one here. $209,000 for 3,200 square feet.
So we need to convert that to acres. How many
I don't know. Let me do the math.
acres
Uh,
is you?
uh,
You said 3,200. Well, just put
3,200
in how many square
square.
foots are in an acre. How about
Oh,
that?
shit. So 0.07 acres. So it's not even 1 acre, bro. It's like half
But
an
that's
acre.
still huge. 1 acre is
It is.
huge.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So what's 2,000? 2,000 would be like zero point 0.5. So 2,000 is like 500 is half an acre because 3,000 is zero point 0.7. So 2,000 is about half an acre. So here's 1,000 square feet. What the fuck? $500,000 for this shit? Hell no. This has to be like yeah, this is already in town somewhere. That's what. This is like that's a parking lot. That's actually a good little investment right there because you could build like a couple right there. Damn. Yeah. Um, Here's one. Cerritos. Yeah. Beautiful. 128,000 for oh shit, 16,000 square feet. So let's see what the conversion is.
Jesus, that's a lot.
Yep. 16,000. Wait, that's not right. It's point. What? Why is that? That's not right. 0.367 acres. That's not right.
So in 1 acre, it's 43,560 square feet in 1 acre.
Okay, so we were doing it wrong. So 3,000 is
So you would go
yeah.
43,560 divided by 3,000 square feet.
I think they're listing them wrong on the website. I don't think this because they yeah, that's the other thing is they're using dots instead of commas. So I think that's indicating that it's 19,000, not 1,962. So I think this is 32,000 square feet. Yeah. This is the problem with these websites. Confusing, but
Yeah, I just hired a new guy today. He's a
uh-huh.
young kid. I don't even think he's 25 years old. He looks like 21 to 22. Um, yeah, got to do his e-verify tonight and bring him on this week. So I did some training today with doubles, hooking up and detaching. Uh, he had his license for like a year. He drove with Covenant over the road, long haul, but he was looking for something local, like what I have that he can drive where he's home every day. It seems like a good kid. Let me tell you what I appreciate. He called me sir, and I don't even like the word sir. I ain't even gonna lie to you. You know, sir, like a lot of times, look, man, call me Jermaine, bro. Stop calling me sir. But he called me sir, and he said he's looking to build. And keep in mind, he's under 25. He's looking to build. What advice do I have for him to try to start a business like what I'm doing? And I was like, yeah, man. When I first started, and I don't know if I told you this before, when I first started this transition to a business owner or entrepreneur, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I don't even put labels on the shit. That's just how weird people are. But when I started this transition, every person, every driver that I brought on, he keep texting. If you hear that, he
Mm.
said thank you. So he asked for July. His brother's birthday is the 6th, and he wanted the 6th and 7th off. But guess what? You gave me a month advance notice for the 6th and the 7th off in July. I can appreciate that.
You can work with that. That's
Yeah.
easy, man.
Hang
Shit.
on, he just texts back, and you'll text me when the days I'm scheduled when to come in.
Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. All right,
Yeah,
J Dog. We're
but I
at
wonder.
60 minutes, baby. Let's close this out.
Yes, sir. So, hey, this was just me and Renell today. Just to let you know, Renell, this was not live streamed to YouTube. Because remember, you have to put the timestamp to live stream it.
Okay.
So you remember when Jamal does it and he goes in and he says live stream at 4 o'clock p.m. So this will be saved, and we can just take this video and put it
Just upload
in
it.
the video tab, upload it directly to YouTube, but it doesn't go on live stream. It goes on the video tab,
Okay.
but it'll still be live stream. But this is a Sunday. It was just me and Renell. Jamal is working, people. So for whoever watched this, Jamal is working for the next week and a half to 2 weeks. So he will not be available. He is, I guess, per se, a not per se, but he is to a certain extent a independent contractor where he finds his own work. I've been hiccuping this. Have you been hearing the hiccups right now? Yo, and look, it hasn't stopped at all. Remember, I've been
No,
doing this for 24 going on 48
it's
hours,
been
bro.
fucking relentless.
Bro, it is killing me. This has happened to me twice before in my life, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why do I keep having the hiccups, especially for this amount of time? Like,
Yeah.
when I say 24 hours, like, I went to sleep and I didn't know if I was hiccuping or not. Who knows? I might have been dying. I don't fucking know. But I woke up and it was gone like for an hour and a half. Then it came back. But Jamal's going to be gone until maybe going on the third week in July. Anybody who's watching, like, comment, share, subscribe. RJ Square Podcast. This is a freestyle between me and Ray Ray tonight. We appreciate everybody. Like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps us in the algorithm. Turn your notifications on. Renell, go ahead and say whatever you have to say, young man.
Yes, stay tuned. We're going to have some really interesting guests in the coming weeks. So stay tuned, jump in, like, comment, subscribe. And if you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at Instagram, Raynell_JR. J-Dog, where can they reach you?
You know me, tonsil tickler. No, no, no. Hey, November Montgomery on all platforms. But yeah, tonsil tickler, baby.
All right. On that note, we will close it out. You guys have a beautiful Sunday. See you tomorrow.